How did libertarianism came about? How is it different from classical liberalism, and why didn't just old ideas prevail? Why we deem Rothbard to be the author of modern libertarianism?
A major reason for that was that the term liberal in the United States had assumed a completely different meaning than it had in Europe. In Europe, liberals were people who were in favor of free market economy and a very limited state. Some of the more radicals were in favor of what is called a night watchman state, where the state doesn't do anything else but make sure that the police does its work and the courts do its work, and that's the end of their engagement. In the United States, however, liberal has the meaning of a social democrat. The Democratic Party in the United States are referred to as liberals, but they have nothing to do with classical liberalism as it existed in Europe. And because of that, I think there was a need to look for a new term. And in the course of looking for a new term, then also a radicalization of classical liberalism occurred. Not with all people who afterwards called themselves libertarian, but with people like Murray Rothbard in particular. Murray Rothbard was initially a Misesian in the sense that Mises wanted to have a minimal state, a state that doesn't do anything else except police force, external defense, and a judiciary. Rothbard then radicalized this by pointing out that even a minimal state does, of course, require taxation in order to be financed, and thought that that was a violation of basic moral principles, namely the principle that you should not aggress against other people and take the property of people who have justly acquired their property. So he made the step to what is called now anarcho-capitalism, which is a radicalized version of classical liberalism. His view was that even the function of judges, the function of defense, the function of police forces can be done better by competing organizations than by some monopolist that relies on taxation. People do want to be protected in their private property. Why don't they turn to private companies that offer services? I want to protect your private property. All you have to do is sign a contract with me. I offer this service. You don't have to sign up with me. You can also sign up with other people who defend yourself. So his view was there is nothing that private enterprises cannot do better than a monopolist provider such as the state. Now, the Rothbard program is still probably the most powerful program of libertarianism in the United States. However, there are also quite a few people who remained, in a way, classical liberals, but not calling themselves in the United States classical liberals, also adopting the term libertarians, but who refused to accept Rothbard's radical conclusion, everything has to be done by private enterprises. They thought, no, certain things have to be done by the state. Nowadays, classical liberals in Europe still have an affinity to the libertarians in the United States. And in the United States itself, you have, so to speak, two wings among libertarians, those who are anarchists and those who cling to the classical, traditional European way of a minimal state.
So, if Rothbard used to be regarded as a founding father of modern libertarianism, why did departure from the Rothbardian tradition of libertarianism happen? Because today, when you talk to libertarians in the West, what you face is that there's more and more classical liberals calling themselves libertarians, and the Rothbardian tradition seems to be like taking the back step. Why did it happen?
Part of the reason is, of course, that people don't read much. They are lazy. And the more acceptable version is, of course, the classical liberal version. The idea that the state is necessary somehow is so ingrained in the heads of people that they could not free themselves of that preconception. And the other reason is indeed that the bigger this movement grew, the less was the number of people who actually read a lot of things. They were satisfied with just getting a few slogans, and that was enough. Whereas I think the major theoreticians of the libertarian movement, as far as I can tell, are all anarcho